Hi, I'm owner of Palki restaurant. Palki established almost more than 20 years. We will specialize in the butter chicken, lot of vegetarian dishes, samosa, tandoori dishes, and we won many awards since we opened the restaurant. We have a lot of customer, which is 70% of people is Canadian, and 30% people is Asian people customer. So we have very good reputation, and we do number one in the North Vancouver. We are specialized in authentic Indian cuisine. We have a special lunch buffet every day, Monday to Sunday, 11:30 to 30. Also, we specialize in thali evening time, and we had a lot of customers vegan, which is they don't like any animal and any cream type sauce. And a lot of customers are gluten free, and also we have a lot of vegetarian peoples. We also help a lot of Canadian peoples, Canadian community, a lot of we send give donation, all kind of peoples. So we try to help everybody's Canadian peoples. We try our best. We are proud of Canadian and Canadian culture, Indian culture, and before in this Palki restaurant, I was in Vancouver. I own a Daut restaurant, which is was on Victoria and 35, and Palki been here 21 years now. Palki is the old version. When the people get married, they carry woman in there, bride. So that's what called Palki.
Hi, my name is Ram Nair. I'm originally from Chandigarh. I was born there. And then my family moved to Edmonton, Alberta, where my mom and dad, where my dad actually opened the first Indian store in that city and perhaps the province at that time. My mom is a school teacher. I have a sister, and for about the last 15 years, I've been in Vancouver. So I actually was about 4 years old when my family migrated to Edmonton. And so I don't have a lot of memories about India, but the ones I do are all about family, all about my cousins and playing and games that we would play and so on, but very vague because I actually went to school, started my school in Edmonton at Alex Taylor Community School, which was a really, really unique school. So it was an inner city school, which you can imagine would be pretty tough, but had a really loving and caring staff. In fact, our principal won the Order of Canada for his work in the education field. So I feel very blessed to have been in that kind of environment. Latterly, junior high and high school, I went to a very unique high school also. It was based on academia and very small class sizes, so that was wonderful. I followed that by going to university and studying in the field of anthropology in the pursuit of an arts degree. Sport came to me sort of by mistake. We were visiting India one time, and my grandmother gifted me a badminton racket. I think it was an attempt to stop me from running around the hallways at home there. And I came back, really didn't think much of it, but goofed around a little bit here and there. And then we had a very dear friend of ours in Edmonton that said, you know what, you're pretty good at this stuff. Maybe we should get you involved in the junior development program. And I wound up in a local private club that my family joined, and I started taking badminton lessons from Michael Chan, who became a great mentor to me. And through playing, though, what I discovered was that I actually loved coaching because he would have me help with the younger kids as I got older. And then another great mentor that I had named David Fallsby got a hold of me and said, "Listen, I'm going to teach you how to coach." He was the executive director of Badminton Alberta, and I started my coaching career at a very young age under his tutelage. So what started off as sort of a fun, summer job, a job that was active and involving people. I didn't really think that I would wind up doing it professionally because then after my schooling in the arts level, I wanted to be a lawyer. My dad is a lawyer, and I wanted to do that, but that's not what happened. So what happened was I found myself in Winnipeg working at a local club and really began to get into it. And I thought to myself, well, how far can I take this? Because as an athlete, while I did compete and I played lots and internationally a bit here and there, but I didn't reach the heights that I could have, I suppose. So what started off as a fun summertime job wound up becoming a career because originally I didn't plan it that way. I planned to go to law school and pursue that. But coaching sort of got in my blood. And as I said, my mom is a teacher, so I think teaching was one of those things that I really got a lot of joy out of. And some of the experiences that I had early on, seeing the happiness and the joy that you can create by giving somebody some positiveness in their life really got hold of me. And I thought, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. So I amended my studies to pursue higher coaching educational services and studies on that level. And fortunately, the University of Manitoba had a National Coaching Institute, and I was able to pursue that to the highest level. So I'm a level 5 certified coach with a high performance coaching diploma, which are currently the highest levels that you can achieve in my field anyway. The next thing that happened was Badminton Canada asked me to start coaching some junior teams. So those were the first sort of international experiences I had, was to take national junior teams around the world. And the first competition for me there was the Pan American Junior Championships in Guadalajara, Mexico. So and again, I really enjoyed that experience, and I thought, hey, I can do this, and having a great set of mentors, as I've mentioned that I did, along with encouragement from our association, really vaulted me on that road. After that, I did some senior national teams, and then it was, the first senior national team I worked with was at the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, and just have never looked back. And since then, the covered 3 other Commonwealth Games, and as well as Pan Am Games, and a Youth Olympics, and the 2012 and 2016 Olympics in London and Rio, respectively. In 2008, I led a team to Pune, India for the World Junior Badminton Championships and the Youth Commonwealth Games. On that team were 2 young ladies, Alex Bruce and Michelle Lee. And because of the nature of the competition, they were juniors, and I'm not sure if they had big thoughts about their future career or not. But at that tournament, they actually wound up making the finals in the ladies doubles event at the Youth Commonwealth Games. I had a chat with them after because they beat the number 1 seeds in pursuit of that, and I said, you know what, I think you guys could go to the 2012 Olympics. And if I was to tell you that was a really interesting moment, because both of those ladies in 2012 would make the semifinals of the Olympic Games, which is an unprecedented achievement for Canadian badminton players. So they got to do something that nobody yet has done, which is to play in 2 possible medal round games at the Olympics, and I got to coach them. And what a thrill to see juniors that you've worked with then achieving so much at the senior level. With all of those experiences that I've had over the years, one of the great things that I saw my dad do certainly was to sit there and write in a diary. And, he'd be writing poems or he'd be writing stories, and it gave me an inspiration that maybe I could write too. And I'm very fortunate this year to have published a book called The Sport of Life. And really, it's all of the lessons that I've learned through sport that apply to life. So in this next phase for me in my growth and as a human being, it's to share those messages with as many people that want to hear it. I'm very fortunate that people, I've been getting some great feedback. People read it and they go, you know what, I couldn't put it down. I read it in one plane flight. I read it in one go, and it makes a lot of sense and it's simple to understand. Because I really do feel that about life. Life should be simple. It shouldn't be complicated. And it can be if you learn your lessons well. So people always ask me, what's the book about? And the easiest way to do that is to share with you a couple of pages. He was quiet and shy and just tried to blend in, but that was precisely what made him stand out in the worst way possible. When he was in grade 1, boys wouldn't let him in the washroom because they said he looked like a girl. In grade 5, there was a bet among the grade 6 kids to see who could beat him up badly enough so that they'd have to go to the hospital. His first memory of grade 7 was at the grade 9s holding him down and spitting on him. No surprise that he started down a dark path, afraid of his own shadow, even quieter and more reclusive. He also began to doubt, to hate, and to harbor ill will. But then in grade 8, something happened. A teacher came along who told him he was perfect, just the way he was. Over time, he began to believe it and set about changing his life. He lost doubt and found hope. He abandoned hate and adopted love. Finally, he emerged from the darkness of his past and embraced self-acceptance. I scorned him, belittled him, but ultimately, I came to admire him and respect his uniqueness, and I realized that in the end, he is someone I cannot live without, for he is me.
Hello, my name is Surinder Bogle and I'm the Chief Librarian of Surrey Libraries. I was born in Morogoro, Tanzania. My mother's name is Avtar Kaur Bogle and my father's name is Jagdev Singh Bogle. I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. Most of my family lives in England and my younger sister lives in Cleveland, Ohio. So when I was 2 years old, my family moved to Kenya in East Africa. My father was a civil engineer with the railways, so we moved a lot. And we lived in Kenya until I was 8 years old. And then my family moved to London, England. And it's in England that I completed most of my education. I did my O-levels and A-levels. And even when I was young, I loved learning. I loved going to the library. One of the most memorable things in our local library, there was a plaque that said, "Knowledge is power." And I was always intrigued by that. Just going to a library was something very special for me as a young child because it was a place when I had moved from Kenya to England and I was still trying to improve my English. And we used to be teased as young kids because we had African English accents. And so it was important for me to improve my English. So I spent a lot of time in the library when I was young. Didn't know at that time that I was going to end up working in libraries. But so yes, my former years and for me and my family was using the library a lot as new immigrants to England. And I then did my education in England, so O-levels, A-levels. It was hard for me to decide what subjects to choose because I loved everything. I just loved learning. So trying to narrow down on what degree to do, even when I was going to university, I found really tricky. What would I do? I ended up doing business management or management science because my sister did that and really enjoyed the subject. And when I graduated, England was in a deep recession, and rather than being a management graduate trainee in a corporate, multinational corporation, which is what most of the people from my the degree that I did would do, I ended up working in an inner city college library in West London. So in the library, I started off as a clerk, putting books away on the shelf, helping people issue library cards and registering their accounts, and it was mostly students. And I really loved the work that the librarians did. I was quite intrigued. It hadn't even come across my mind that this could be a possible career for me. And it was there that I decided that I would pursue my master's in Library and Information Studies, and I did that at the University College London. So that was a master's program, and after I completed that, I emigrated to Canada. I've been to Canada. I came to BC, and I had just graduated from my master's, and just like any new Canadian or new immigrant, I faced the same challenges. I was often, when I was applying for work, was asked for Canadian experience, but it was difficult to get Canadian experience unless somebody hired me. So I started working in chapters initially, and while I was getting all my paperwork for my master's, I was working in chapters, so still connected to learning and literacy. And I really loved that. It actually gave me a really good foundation of what Canadians were reading and Canadians were interested in, certainly in this part of Canada. And then I got my first break when the Burnaby, I used to live in Burnaby at the time, the Burnaby Public Library hired me as a casual librarian. And as a casual librarian, you're not really guaranteed any hours. So I was working there on an on-call basis. And once I had that on my resume, I started working at other library systems as well. So, and again, as an on-call. So I think, my record is working 40 days without a day off. I was keen, I was young. I really wanted to, learn the system. So it was important for me to do that. I also worked at the BCIT library for a few months as a clerical person, even though I had graduated and got my master's degree while I was doing my paperwork to work here in Canada as a librarian. So as mentioned, it was my break to get that first job at the Burnaby Library, and then I worked at Richmond, Coquitlam, Vancouver, and also Surrey. And Surrey always had a special place in my heart. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I truly felt that the culture was slightly different here. It was a city that was growing. There was a lot of diversity. There were a lot of opportunities. So even though I worked as an on-call at the Surrey Library, the library at that time was building a new library in the Strawberry Hill area. And they were looking for a Punjabi-speaking librarian, and there aren't very many of us around. So I was very lucky and fortunate to be able to use my Punjabi skills to help us offer a new library service in the Strawberry Hill area of Surrey. And that was in 1999, and that library even to this day is very full and busy. So throughout my time in Surrey Libraries, I worked in many different positions, and Strawberry Hill was one of them. I've worked in many different communities. The library that we're in today is the City Centre Library, and it was built in, we opened in 2011. It was built by Bington Architects, and I was so fortunate to be involved in the planning for this library. So again, throughout my career, I feel so privileged to be able to be in a career where I can make a difference and add value to people's lives and help make an impact in our community. And libraries are so much about that. City Centre Library, it's a gathering place. Libraries are no longer, we're sitting here with books around us, but libraries are not just about books anymore. They've evolved so much, even in the 20 years that I've been in the field. When I started, we didn't even have the internet, and now there is so much information available on the internet, yet our library still gets so many visits. We have an average of 2.5 million people that come to our 9 library branches in Surrey. And what do they come to do? They're coming to connect with other people. They're coming to learn a new skill. They are coming to, teach their kids the importance of reading. It's like when I was young, that phrase, knowledge is power. It just lives throughout life, right? And people say in this day and age that there's no need for a public library, and I challenge that. And I challenge that because our libraries in Surrey certainly are bursting at the seams. We have so many people that come and use the library as a space to study, as a space to access computers. The library is a great equalizer. In this day and age, there are a few places that you can go to where you don't have to either buy something or have a purpose. In a library, you can be here all day and just discover and explore and be connected to information or be open to new possibilities just through a book or through a resource. So I believe that libraries are more and more important in this day and age. There's so much development going on in Surrey, and places are small, and people need a gathering place to come together. And libraries offer that. We are a resource that has so many arms and helps people in so many ways, from a very early age to the end of their lives. It's a lifelong experience when you are a library user. Some of, I have here beside me our friend Jazzy. Jazzy is one of the library mascots. We also have Walter. And, again, this is to have fun with learning. We do so much with early literacy, and Surrey has the youngest population in Canada. A third of our population is under the age of 18, and it's very important that we are providing services and opportunities and experiences for our young generation. So we offer story times for new moms. We teach them how to teach their kids the love of reading. Research shows that families that use libraries have better learning outcomes for their children. Right? So it's important for us to express that message. Surrey has many newcomers as well. 30% of our population, or over 30%, have Punjabi or other Indian languages as their first language. We have a huge population from China, Philippines. And again, the library offers so much for the newcomer, just as it did for me when I first came to Canada. We offer, books on how to improve your English. Not just books now. We actually offer, apps on my phone. I have an app called Mango Languages where you can actually download the app and learn how to speak a different language as well as English. So, and those are all free. That's the other thing. When people come from other countries, sometimes they don't even know the notion of a public library because that hasn't existed in the countries that they've come from. And in Canada, in Surrey, a library is free for people who are in the city. To the youth out there, I invite you to come and use our libraries. In fact, to everyone out there, a library card is free. I wish I had a picture of my library card, but I don't. It is free, and it opens up a world of opportunities for you. Like me, you may not know which way you want to go with your life. You may not be unsure about the path, and the library just gives you exposure to so many different paths that you could take in life. So some of the things that we offer for youth are writing clubs. We offer computer camps. We're offering things like Minecraft and learning how to create a website. There are just so many cool things. It's not just like the library that when you were young, that's and the librarian shushing you. Libraries are more community gathering spaces, and they're vibrant. And so for me, it's really important that people realize this valuable resource that they have at their fingertips, and to come and use it. And I've been in this role for 6 or 7 months now, and one of my missions is to get the word out there, just to spread the word.
Full lights, start sound, camera, action.
ਉਹ ਗੁੜ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਮਿੱਠਾ ਹੋ ਰੱਬਾ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਵੇ ਗੁੜ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਮਿੱਠਾ